If you're thinking about making the move to the Tampa Bay area, you need to watch this video before you make that decision. We're going to be going over some of the biggest cons of living in the area, coming from someone that's been born and raised living in the Tampa Bay area for almost 30 years. What's up, everybody? My name is Grant, and this is a channel all about what it is like to live, buy, sell, and invest in real estate in the Tampa Bay area. And if that's something you're interested in, make sure you subscribe for more weekly content just like this. Without further ado, let's jump right into this video. Con number one is the cost of HOAs. The dreaded HOA. And if you don't know what that stands for, that is the Homeowners Association. You've probably heard about them before. You probably have some in your area right now, but currently that is one of the biggest cons in the area. And not just a con, but it's almost like a con, as in they're stealing your money. Not every HOA is the same, but there are a lot of HOAs that are charging you $50 a month, and you're getting almost absolutely nothing. So what is that money going towards? Why are you giving $50 a month to anybody? And that question usually is still not answered. Oftentimes, if it's that cheap of an HOA, it's just to take care of the front entrance of the community, if it even has a gated entrance. Oftentimes, for those inexpensive HOAs, it's not going to have a gated entrance for just that low price of $50 a month. But what's going to happen is that there's going to be a person or group of people that are a part of the HOA presidents or community, and they're going to make sure that people who want to paint their driveway, that want to re-landscape, want to do anything, are not allowed to do that without asking them permission. And that's an issue I've ran into multiple times. And I'm talking about for a very, very cheap HOA of $20 to $50 a month. It is too much headache and hassle. A quick story. I sold a property in the Tampa Bay area, and we had it sold. We're a week from closing, and the HOA president reaches out to me and says they're going to hold up the sale of the home until the driveway is painted back to the original color or the approved color of the HOA, because the seller went and painted his driveway without asking them permission. And he mainly did that because it was like a $15, $20 HOA per month. He didn't even think that he needed to do that. But of course, they come out of the woodwork and try to essentially stop the sale of the home, all because of the driveway was painted a different color. So that is just one of the small little issues you can have with HOAs, and that's just with a very, very cheap HOA. Other issues I've seen is that some people are paying $500 to $600, even $700 per month for their HOAs, especially in townhome and condo communities, which that can be fine, but oftentimes they're paying a lot more than what they're actually getting in return. For example, I have another townhome that I sold in the Tampa Bay area, and they were paying around $500 per month. They were not getting 24/7 security. All they got was the local community pool, and they got a gate in front of their townhome area. Other than that, they really didn't get much other than their trash and cable were taken care of, as well as their lawns. So, but when you add it all up, that is not worth $500. Maybe if you had a 24/7 security guard, there was a fitness center as well, maybe it might make more sense, but in that example, it doesn't make sense at all. So you just really got to watch out to make sure that what you're paying for, you're actually going to be getting value back, as well as you're not in one of the communities that you're essentially not allowed to do anything to your home, or it's just going to be a hassle. So if you want to paint your home a different color, or you like landscaping, then maybe HOAs are not for you. Con number two is that it's tough to get around. It's not New York, right? There's no subways. There are buses, but most people don't use the buses, so you're going to need a car to get around. You most likely can't pay for Uber to get you everywhere, or taxis, because if you want to go to the Tampa Bay area and you're looking to save money, you're most likely not living directly in the city, because that's going to be the most expensive. A lot of people have to drive to the main cities, main beaches, main areas, and they live at least 20 to 30 minutes away from everything. So even though it is a very tight, secluded area, most people are not going to be living directly in Tampa just because it is very expensive, and it's more so those luxury homes as well as very, very expensive, those skyscraper-like condos. So you're going to need a car to get around. And when you do actually get around, you need to make sure that you're beating the traffic. Essentially, every morning between 6:30, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m., it is going to be super busy heading directly towards the Tampa Bay area or those main hotspots of jobs like Tampa, as well as the Clearwater, Oldsmar, Temple Terrace area. That's where a lot of the jobs are in the area. And a lot of people live a little bit further away and then drive to the higher paying, higher quality jobs. So the traffic is very, very busy between 6 to 9 heading there. And then it is very, very busy heading away from that area between that 5 to 7 o'clock time frame. So you're going to have to time your job travel correctly, or either just leave a little bit earlier or a little bit later, or take the back roads. A lot of people, instead of taking US 19, which is the major highway in the area to get up and down all of Pasco, Pinellas, Hillsborough, Hernando, instead, oftentimes they'll take the interstate. They'll go a little off ways of their direction to then take the interstate because they can go a lot faster. And even though you might drive an extra 10 miles in total, so you're going to put more mileage on your car, but funny enough, you'll actually get there even faster. Number 3 is there are plenty of snowbirds. Your neighbors may or may not be in their house. As in 6 to 8 months out of the year, there's going to be nobody there. This is especially very popular in the 55 and up communities, as well as a lot of the condo and townhome communities, because oftentimes the average owner of those are oftentimes a little bit older on average. So if you're one of those people that likes to be very interactive with your neighbors, you want to talk to them, have friends, maybe you might not want to buy in a 55 and up community because almost half the people in that community are going to be gone half the year. And as well as what that means is during the holiday times or during times to where they come back, the traffic is going to be a lot heavier in the area, as well as there's going to be a lot more people in the area. So if you don't like old people, this may not be the state or area for you, because Florida is the retirement state of the country. We have the most retirees. This is where everybody's coming to retire. So I guess if you don't like old people, it may not be the place for you, but trust me, it is a great place to retire. Con number 4, there are a lot of bugs and alligators in the area. I know those are two completely different things, but trust me, there are lots of both of those. Every single pond you go to, you have to be careful not to let your little dogs or little animals or little children go too close to the water. Oftentimes they will get taken out, but there are so many alligators all in the state of Florida as well as in the area. So almost every single pond, I'm just going to expect that there's going to be a 4-foot little gator in there. Though attacks don't seem to happen often, it's definitely better to be careful. And there are lots of bugs in the Tampa Bay area and just the state of Florida in general. We have the most number of bugs in regards to cockroaches, ants, and mosquitoes in the USA. It's because our temperature is so hot, so humid, so moist almost all year round. It's one of the best places for bugs to burrow and live and stay. So yes, there are bugs everywhere outside. There's going to be ants. If you don't make sure that your property is maybe kept up with pest control, or you spray the stuff around your house and windows all the time, you may see a cockroach in your home every once in a while. As well as every time you go outside, once the sun starts to go down, you are going to get bit up by mosquitoes. I don't necessarily have that big of an issue because I'm kind of hairier than most people, so they don't really bite me as much. But people like my wife, they get bit up everywhere, and when they walk outside, they come back with 5 mosquito bites all over them. I'm a little bit different, but that is always something you got to worry about. So you're always going to want to have bug spray, especially if you're staying outside and you're staying out later at night, because that's when they like to come out and suck your blood like little vampires. And if you're enjoying this content so far, make sure you like and subscribe for more content just like this. Comment down below, what is the worst thing about living in your current area? Let's get right back into the video. Con number 5 is that there is extreme weather in the Tampa Bay area. And I'm sure you guessed it, it's the hurricanes. Florida has the most hurricanes out of the entire United States. It is one of the most dangerous states to live in regards to hurricanes. So you have to be very careful to where if you get a hurricane watch or if you get a major hurricane, category 4 or 5 hurricane coming towards you, you're gonna have to evacuate. And oftentimes there's about one bad hurricane that hits Florida every single year. Luckily, it hasn't happened in the Tampa Bay area for quite some time, but there was one most recently that luckily just missed us, but it did do some damage a little bit south of us in the Fort Myers area. And that was a category 4 hurricane. And oftentimes what they will do is they will cause a lot of damage to the properties that are closest to impact once it comes directly from the ocean or water usually, as well as there's always the risk of flood surges. So essentially all the water will come out and then it's got to go back somewhere, and oftentimes it ends up flooding into where the oceanfront properties or all the oceanfront land is. So that's something you always have to worry about if you own an oceanfront property or live near an oceanfront area. But luckily, in regards to the hurricanes, oftentimes there is plenty of warning. Unlike potentially like a tornado or an earthquake, we can see the hurricanes coming from miles away, and with the technology we have now, we're usually notified days in advance if anything really bad is actually going to hit us. But that is always something you have to worry about. Con number 6, you may not have heard of this yet, it is sinkholes. There are a lot of sinkholes in the area, and essentially what that is a large crater that will build up underneath the ground, and eventually your house could potentially fall in. There have been plenty of examples, especially in the Tampa Bay area. There's an area called Spring Hill, and it is very popular to have sinkholes all around that area. Oftentimes, most homes around that area are gonna have remediated sinkholes, and what that means is that engineers go in there and have to fill the ground because they're starting to crater a big hole in the ground, and they fill it with concrete and put beams underneath the property to make it sturdy. Not all properties are going to have a giant hole and completely fall in, but it has happened. In the Spring Hill area, there's been cases where roads have just completely collapsed, but that is something you always have to watch out for. And if you're looking to buy a house in the area and your home doesn't have a sinkhole, you're going to want to make sure that all of the neighbors around you also don't have a sinkhole. Con number 7 is flooding. There is something called flood insurance in the state of Florida, especially in the Tampa Bay area, and you need insurance for flooding for a reason. Oftentimes, if you're in flood zone AE or above, which means you're at too low of an elevation and you have a higher risk of flooding, whether that be from rain or whether that be from ocean and hurricane surge, it varies. But if you're too low in regards to your elevations, you're gonna have to pay extra in flood insurance, as well as if you are in one of those zones like an AE or even worse like an A, not only do you have to pay extra for your flood insurance, but you are at a huge risk to actually flood. And oftentimes you'll be able to see it if you're in these non-well-built older communities with maybe a 1970, 1980 average home. If it wasn't built in the greatest of area, you'll see all the roads crumbling. You'll see cracks everywhere. It will look terrible if they haven't recreated or asphalted it over. And you'll be able to easily tell that this has terrible flooding in this area. So that's something to watch out for always, making sure that you have high elevation so you don't have to worry about flooding, because that is a common issue in the Tampa Bay area. If you're interested in making the move to the Tampa Bay area, don't hesitate to reach out. We can schedule a time to talk and we can decide whether or not it might make sense for us to work together, because I would love to help you find your dream home. Without further ado, that's it for the video. I will see you in the next one.